It's been a harrowing few days for this 80-year-old woman who's been without running water for the past 11 days. Struggling with mobility challenges, she's been relying on the kindness of strangers to get her water.
When there are a whole lot of retirees involved, if you carry a bucket of water, it usually pushes you off balance and it creates falls and things, and it's not safe.
Another resident says the lack of running water has left her feeling shaky and unsure.
There becomes a problem and you just doesn't feel so well. But you can manage and do it systematically, wash yourself with a little bit of water and then measure the water and just tell yourself 1 cup of tea, 1 cup of water. 2 cups of tea, 2 cups of water. And I think that it was the lesson I learned absolutely, truly, because I'm more sorry for my plants than I am for the neighbors.
It's the most vulnerable who've had it the worst.
Most of those people are also not young anymore, though they're independent, they're not able to carry buckets and, get water. So we've got a borehole and we could obtain water from one single tap on the premises, although we didn't want to use that as drinking water. So we had to virtually buy water for drinking. The home itself accommodates about 130 people at this stage, of whom 70 are really frail.
With the province in the grips of a heat wave, the increased frequency and intensity of the temperatures in areas with no access to water have led to environmentalists sounding off a warning.
Heat wave would obviously have impacts on human beings, and for vulnerable groups such as the elderly, the sick, and the young ones as well. This may range from all sorts of implications, starting from dehydration. When there's a heat wave, obviously people will be dehydrated.
Joburg Water has been working on resolving the latest water crisis, but civil organization group WaterCan believes the city is on the brink of a catastrophe.
Is one of shock and concern. For us to have a lightning strike that turns out to have 10 days of no water to almost 300,000 people in a city that is the economic hub of the country is quite concerning. What we found, or what we think is happening, is that there's a lack of transparency, there's a lack of honest communication by Joburg Water, Rand Water, and the city of Johannesburg.
Joburg Water has struggled to supply alternative water to desperate residents. It's led to local companies stepping in and supplying residents with much needed water.
We are part of the community, we are vested in the community. It's easy for us to help because we're self-sufficient in terms of water supply. And it's part of our community service that we do to make sure that we can help people in crisis. In the long run, what we're doing is we're taking some of the bulk supply that Joburg Water and Rand Water is supplying. You're moving some of that bulk supply to your own property. So at least you can make sure you control your own buffer capacity.
WaterCan says government must be held accountable.
Our water issues are not going to be solved in a year or two. I think it needs much longer. But because of that, and because government or local government keeps saying that they don't have the funds to do this, we need to push for this to be treated as an urgent issue.
Rand Water is still to give clarity on why their valves were closed, which exacerbated the water outage after the initial lightning strike at the Aikenhof substation 10 days ago. This neighborhood is one of those that have been the most affected by the current water crisis. And with water being partially restored to some areas and an overnight talks by the Johannesburg Mayor with local councillors, there is some hope for these communities that have been without water for almost 2 weeks. Nozintombi Mia, SABC News, Johannesburg.